Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to an episode of the Coach Cody podcast. And man, I don't know about you, but there has been quite the news feed lately, and it's a bit overwhelming and kind of just strange to be kind of living through history. This is things that are happening now. I tend to think, when I was sitting in history class as a kid or a young adult, whatever, and thinking, or just being basically really bored. And now I'm thinking there's kids sitting in class, or kids that are going to be sitting in class in the future that are going to be learning about the events that are currently happening. And they're probably also going to be bored. But it's really weird to think that we're just living through history and there's a lot of firsts going on. So if you have not yet heard, well, last week we had the assassination attempt of Trump. So that was quite a headliner. And then this week we have Biden, who has dropped out of the presidential race. He's the president now, but he's not going to be seeking his second term. There's a lot of mixed emotions, I think, are going around, even currently, myself. So it's a weird one currently, what's happening, but we'll see what is to come. I'm not here to talk politics, but I just wanted to address what was on my mind. It's probably not even the elephant in a room because no one's listening to a fitness podcast thinking they're going to start to hear about what is going on in politics. But anyways, the Democratic Party has quite the decision ahead of them. So speaking of decisions, I wanted to talk about decision fatigue. And before I dive into the main topic, though, I did want to go over a study. And this study today is about coffee and its impact on metabolic health. So the study is basically, it's coffee drinking and metabolic health. Is there a link? So they're kind of trying to figure out if coffee drinking contributes positively to metabolic health or not. So in this study, they were studied whether coffee consumption is associated with metabolic syndrome, severity, or biomarkers of metabolic health. So who was studied? A total of 14,504 participants, average age of 47, 51% women, 49% men from across the United States, some of whom had metabolic syndrome. So how was it studied? A cross-sectional study was performed using data from eight consecutive National Health and Nutrition Examination surveys. Coffee consumption was assessed using two 24-hour dietary recalls, and the participants were categorized according to whether they never drank coffee or consumed 0 to 1 cups, 1 to 2 cups, 2 to 3 cups, or greater than 3 cups per day. Metabolic health was assessed using the MET-SZ score, which calculates a value based on the individual's sex, race, ethnicity, waist circumference, systolic blood pressure, and levels of triglycerides, HDL, and fasting glucose. Analysis were also conducted to determine whether coffee consumption is associated with BMI, systolic blood pressure, fasting glucose, triglycerides, or HDL individually. Separate analysis were performed for participants with and without metabolic syndrome. The analysis were adjusted for various potential confounders, including education level, economic status, fasting, insulin, smoking, alcohol consumption, sugar intake, and total energy intake. So what were the results? So compared to non-coffee drinkers, a daily coffee intake of greater than 3 cups was associated with better metabolic health. So in people without metabolic syndrome, better metabolic health in people without metabolic syndrome. However, there were no associations for decaffeinated coffee. Also, among all participants, a daily coffee intake of greater than 3 cups per day was associated with lower BMI, systolic blood pressure, triglycerides, and a higher HDL, which is the, quote unquote, good cholesterol. So it looks like drinking coffee is actually more beneficial for your metabolic health. So if you're looking for an excuse to continuing to drink your coffee, then there you go. Now you have one, at least for now, until we come up with another study that says otherwise. That's the lovely part about studies is you can find a study for the support of something and in not support of something. But anyways, now that we have our coffee drinking biases under wraps, we can talk about decision fatigue. So when it comes to decision fatigue, this is probably something that we don't necessarily think about a lot. It's more of like a subconscious thing, but I think it's something that we need to be more aware of because it's something that could make or break getting to our fitness goals. So essentially, decision fatigue could be sabotaging your fitness goals. So first, what is decision fatigue? So decision fatigue is basically what happens when the quality of your decisions deteriorates after making too many decisions throughout the day. So that's why they always say, like, make your most important decisions in the morning where your brain is more fresh. You haven't made that many decisions yet, and you'll have a clearer brain, right? So what causes it exactly? So causes of decision fatigue: constant decision making throughout the day. As we mentioned, you have decisions you make basically from the moment you wake up all the way towards the end of the day. By the end of the day, you probably know you're a lot more fatigued mentally. You've had to make a lot of decisions. You've had to do a lot of thinking. So by the end of the day, your decision-making skills go down. So another thing that can help cause it, decisions impacting other people. That is definitely a huge one. I know if I have to make a decision, that doesn't just impact me. I'm going to be thinking about it extra hard. Also, engaging in stressful or complex decision making and dealing with difficult or uncertain life situations. Who doesn't like a bit of uncertainty, right? Kind of like life right now. There is so much uncertainty, and we had to deal with that so much during COVID. Now with the presidential nominations and president in general. So we've got a lot of uncertain situations in life right now. So as a whole, we are all probably experiencing decision fatigue. President Biden had to make the decision to step down from office. He's probably experienced some decision fatigue. Also the fact that he's kind of old and is the president, and we'll just leave it at that. So why does it matter to pay attention to decision fatigue? Because when it comes hard to make a decision, it may seem like all decisions are hard. So that even makes it so small, minor decisions feel like they are huge life decisions. And this comes down to even things as simple as, what should I eat? And that's kind of the main thing that we're going over here pertaining to health and fitness. There's many times, this is why I keep my food so simple, and people tend to ask me, like, do you ever get tired of eating the same thing? And to be fair, I don't eat the same thing over and over. I have, slight varieties in what I eat, or I eat something until I get totally tired of it and kind of switch up my menu. But essentially, when you have too many decisions, even if they're small ones, it could lead to overwhelm and anxiety and just going straight into fuck it mode. So this is why it is good to try to reduce the amount of decisions that you need to make in a day, make it more simple so that you're less tempted to go into fuck it mode, find yourself going through a drive-through because you just couldn't decide on what you wanted to eat, that sort of thing. So some signs that you are experiencing decision fatigue, because it can be kind of hard to recognize at first, especially if you've never thought about it before. So if you've never thought about it before, well, let's hope it's not just something to obsess about now, but awareness is key for everything, right? So again, signs you are experiencing decision fatigue: procrastination and avoidance, so difficulty initiating or making decisions; impulsivity, so making quick decisions without thorough consideration; exhaustion and brain fog, feeling mentally drained; and overwhelm and irritability, feeling easily overwhelmed by minor choices; and increased emotional sensitivity. So it's kind of like, probably chances at the end of the day, you're going to be feeling a little bit more irritable, along with the fatigue. So that's kind of why, at the end of the day, we get less and less productive. We also get less able to make big decisions. So, what kind of impact does this have on your health and wellness? So, the mental exhaustion from constant decision making can make it more likely that you'll make bad decisions. And when it comes to fitness and nutrition, it makes it more likely that you're going to skip the gym or, go through the drive-through on the way home, DoorDash something that you just want because you're like, fuck it, I'm so tired and I can't make a decision. I'm just getting what I want instead of what your body needs. So, there are ways to combat decision fatigue, and these are going to be key. So now that you know how to recognize decision fatigue, we can hopefully make things a little simpler and keep you more on track without letting it sabotage your goals. So number one way to overcome decision fatigue, and that's to simplify choices. So I I have kind of subconsciously done this in my life because I'm awful at making decisions, and I hate making decisions. So basically, implementing routines to minimize daily decision making, such as scheduled workout times or meal prepping. So this is also, like I said, why I tend to do similar things from day to day. I stick to a schedule. That way I'm not having to make more decisions. I totally waste more time and procrastinating, doing all the things that you don't want to do if I am not within my routine, or if I try to fit something else in and it throws me off, then basically domino effect for me. So this is why I have a routine, and it makes it so that you're not thinking about it. You just kind of go into autopilot. There's no, what am I eating for breakfast? What time am I waking up? If you do all the same things at the same time each morning, it's way less decisions you're going to have to make. Therefore, you will have more energy for other decisions to come during the day if and when you need to make them. So that also comes with things like basically all things planning ahead. Meal prepping. That's going to help you make less decisions throughout the week. And this is also kind of an argument for meal planning, or like meal plans, even if it's something that you create yourself for the week. As a coach, I will sometimes prescribe meal plans, but it depends. There's time and place for them, and then there's time and place for just giving macros and stuff like that. But at first, there's so many decisions surrounding us with food. We have DoorDash at our fingertips. We have hundreds of options. And so you can imagine that's going to be pretty fatiguing. So if you're planning ahead, you're meal prepping, meal planning, you don't have to think about what you're going to eat for lunch. And sometimes you might be tempted because you're going to be like, I do not feel like this chicken, rice, and broccoli or whatever that I prepped for myself over the weekend. Right now, I want to order a burrito. That's cool and all, and you can make that decision if you want. But if you just stick to what you had already planned and make it non-optional, you're going to save that energy of fighting with yourself, going back and forth, trying to justify why you should be able to get the burrito, or why you shouldn't get the burrito, why you should eat the chicken or rice, or why you shouldn't have to eat the chicken or rice. It's exhausting. I've been there. Don't do it. So, simplifying as much as you can is going to be key. Routine and simplifying. So, another way to do it, so delegating decisions. This isn't always going to be something that is applicable with health and fitness. But if you can, outside of health and fitness, if you can share decision-making responsibilities either at work or at home to kind of lighten the load, that can also be helpful. So maybe the decision is who's going to make dinner that night. Maybe you can plan out who makes dinner on whatever night and then just kind of stick to the schedule, or who's going to take the dogs out today or do the laundry. Making sure that you have that kind of scheduled and put in place is going to help overall make less decisions throughout the day and be less overwhelming. So next thing is a big thing to overcome decision fatigue is make sure you are managing your stress levels. So you want to make sure that you take breaks throughout the day, especially if you're kind of at your desk a lot. Your brain's working. So taking breaks to, do activities that you're not having to use a lot of mental energy for, whether that's just going for a walk or playing, a pretty mindless game on your phone, then that's going to help your brain take a break, relax, stop kind of juggling around all the things you have to do, all the other decisions you have to make. So just taking a break to relax your brain, maybe meditation, whatever it is that tends to be kind of a mindless thing that helps reduce your stress, even exercise, getting a workout in the gym. But these are all things that you have to make decisions about. So again, plan ahead, schedule when you're going to do your workout, schedule when you're going to take your breaks. It's going to help you tremendously, I promise. And one of the biggest things too is make sure you're getting enough sleep. It is really, really hard to make decisions when you're already feeling brain fogged, you're already feeling fatigued. So the more fatigued you feel going into a day, the less tolerance you have to decisions in general, the more likely you're going to just go into fuck it mode because you're like, I didn't sleep well last night. I'm exhausted. I got stuck in traffic, or I have this bill I have to pay. There's all these things that can contribute to stress and therefore make it even harder to make decisions. So this is why it's also so important to streamline any decision making you might have to make throughout the day. So another thing to remember, I think we tend to give ourselves decision fatigue when it comes to making things optional. And I kind of already talked about this a little bit, but specifically with working out. I don't know about you, but I have mind fucked myself so many times when it comes to working out, when I'm going to work out, if I'm going to work out. So say you're sitting at your desk and you're trying to decide, when am I going to work out today? And then you kind of keep procrastinating it and you're like, I'll do it later. I'll do it in 30 minutes. I'll do it at 3 o'clock. And before you know it, 5 o'clock rolls around, you still haven't hit the gym. And then you start telling yourself, I'll make it up this weekend. I'll do it, or I'll do it tomorrow, and then I'll just push my workouts back. It'll be fine. So it's in those moments where when you think of those things being optional, that is where you are completely mind-fucking yourself, making decision fatigue so much more prevalent. If you make it not optional and you schedule that workout, say you have to schedule it for 2 o'clock, I don't know why, or maybe you're not going to have time to work out later in the day, so then you plan to hit that workout first thing in the morning. Make it non-optional. Do not tell yourself or bargain with yourself when you wake up and you're trying to hit that snooze alarm. Do not say you're going to do it later. Do not say you can do it later. You have to tell yourself no. Like, this is the decision, this is the plan you had in place, and stick to it. It's going to make things a lot less stressful in the long run, even though it's hard in the moment. So just remember that when you want to hit that snooze button. If you don't want to derail your day and make everything much, much harder, stick with what the plan you had in place already was. So that's the biggest thing I would say, how to get rid of decision fatigue or how to make less decisions. Planning is going to be key, especially when it comes to food, nutrition. It can be really overwhelming if you're not meal prepped or have food planned out, like I said, because we just have so many options. So take some of those options off the table, plan ahead, always think about not just what you want, but what you need. Think of keeping your best interest in mind, and that's something you're always going to want to do, whether it's fitness related or not. There is a difference between what we want to do and what we need to do. So that is something to keep in mind when you are making your plan and schedule for the week and making sure you're staying on track for your goals, right? All right. And so that's about it. I'm just going to keep this one short and sweet. Hopefully that is helpful for you as someone who also has experienced many, many times of decision fatigue. And this is something that, I'm working on myself. There's been a lot of times lately where I haven't, I've made a plan or I've made a schedule and not stick to it. And I always regret it. So this is a refresher for me as well. Just knowing that you have to trust yourself that when you made your schedule and your plan, that you did it for a reason, and it's best that you stick to it. So pay attention to yourself in the past when you had made that previous plan, and trust yourself. Trust that person that made that plan, and follow through for yourself, and follow through for your commitments. And it's going to make things a whole lot easier in the long run. All right, guys, Thanks so much for listening. Peace out, and I'll talk to you next time.